Emma for outing a man as a pedophile in front of his new wife after he made a disturbing comment. Part 1. The setup. So, here's the situation. I too AITA have a pretty small circle of friends and family. About a year ago, I met this guy. Let's call him Mark 35 meters, through a mutual friend. He seemed like a pretty nice guy at first, and I had no reason to believe anything was off. We hung out a few times in group settings, and I thought he was just a regular guy. Fast forward to a few months ago, Mark introduced me to his new girlfriend, Emma 32F. They had just started dating, and he was so excited to show her off to everyone. Emma seemed lovely, and we hit it off right away. I liked her, and we became friends over time. She seemed genuinely happy, and I was happy for them. Even though I hadn't gotten to know Mark that well, he wasn't in the picture much anymore in group settings, and when I did see him, he was usually with Emma. Now, this is where things get a bit weird. I was over at Emma's house a couple of weeks ago, and we were all hanging out. Mark was there too, and we were just chatting about random stuff. At some point, the conversation turned to how they met, and Emma started asking Mark how he'd been feeling since starting their relationship. Out of nowhere, Mark made this comment that completely threw me off. He was talking about their relationship and how he'd been waiting for the right woman for a long time. Then he added, "I've always been attracted to younger women, and now I finally found someone who gets me. It's not just about age, though. It's more about how she makes me feel young again." At first, I didn't know what to think. I figured it was just some weird comment about age, but then he said something else. He went on to say, I always liked being around girls who were just at that age where they were starting to become women, but not yet fully women." As soon as I heard this, my stomach sank. I tried to brush it off, but it kept bothering me. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I've never seen anything in Mark's actions or behavior that made me think he would do anything inappropriate. But that comment definitely raised a red flag for me. It wasn't just that he made a weird comment, but the fact that he seemed to be openly talking about it like it was normal. To be honest, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The whole time I was there, I was uncomfortable, but I didn't know how to react. Emma seemed so happy and clueless, and I didn't want to ruin the evening. So I decided to leave early, but I couldn't shake the thought of what he said. It didn't sit right with me, and I was worried about what it could mean for Emma and her future with him. After a few days, I felt like I had to tell her what I'd heard. So I sent her a message asking if we could talk. She said sure, and we met up at a coffee shop. I hesitated for a moment, but decided to just go for it. I told her about the conversation and what Mark had said. At first, Emma was shocked. She couldn't believe it. She said that Mark had always been sweet and respectful to her, and that she never noticed anything strange about his behavior. But after I told her what he'd said, she asked me why I waited so long to tell her. I explained that I didn't know how to bring it up, and I didn't want to cause unnecessary drama. Here's where things really took a turn. After our conversation, Emma confronted Mark about it. When she asked him about the comment, he got defensive and accused me of misinterpreting what he'd said. He insisted that I was just overreacting. He then turned the tables and claimed that I was just trying to ruin his relationship with Emma, out of jealousy or some personal issue. Emma was clearly upset, but she was also confused about what to believe. The next day, they came over to my place to talk, and I ended up in an awkward situation. Emma was visibly upset and asked me to explain everything again. Mark kept denying it and said that I was lying about what he had said. He even accused me of twisting his words. This time, he started getting really angry and insulting me, trying to make me look like the bad guy in all of this. He basically turned it into a "she's just jealous of our relationship" thing. At that point, I'd had enough. I knew Emma needed to hear the truth, and I couldn't just stand by. In that moment, I blurted out, "I'm not jealous. but I'm just telling you the truth about Mark. The way he talks about young women is disturbing. He's not the man you think he is, Emma. You need to be careful. I'm not the only one who's noticed things about him. Mark's face dropped, and Emma looked completely stunned. There was a long silence, and then Mark snapped. That's enough. You're trying to ruin everything. He stormed out, leaving Emma and me alone. Emma sat there for a while, processing what had just happened. Eventually, she said that she needed time to think. She thanked me for telling her the truth, but I could tell she was shaken. I felt terrible, but at the same time, I felt like I did the right thing. After that, I didn't hear from Emma for a few days. She eventually called me and said that she had broken up with Mark after thinking things through. She thanked me again for looking out for her and apologized for not listening sooner. But now, Mark is spreading rumors about me, claiming I outed him in front of his new wife, trying to ruin his life, and accusing me of being a psycho and a drama queen. Some of our mutual friends are starting to take his side, and it's making me feel like I made the wrong decision by telling Emma the truth. Part 2. The confrontation after the initial conversation with Emma. Things spiraled faster than I ever expected. When she confronted Mark about his comments, he was quick to deny everything. As I mentioned before, he tried to turn it into a misunderstanding, even though the words he said were pretty clear. He claimed I was lying or overreacting to something he said in passing, and that I was just trying to destroy his happiness with Emma. I tried to stay calm, but I could see that he was getting more and more defensive. He called me dramatic and accused me of stirring up trouble for no reason. Then, when things got more heated, he accused me of being obsessed with his relationship. He started to paint me as some bitter person who was just looking for an excuse to tear his life apart. He said I was jealous of how happy he and Emma were together, even though I had no romantic interest in either of them. It was just so frustrating to see him twist the situation and make me look like the villain. After that, he left, storming out of Emma's house in a huff. And I could tell Emma was deeply conflicted. She wasn't angry at me, but clearly didn't know what to think. She told me she needed space to process everything, but I could see the confusion in her eyes. She was clearly hurt by the idea that I might have said something out of spite. In my heart, I knew I did the right thing by telling her, but I couldn't help but wonder if I was being too harsh. The next day, Mark and Emma came over to my place to talk things out, and that's when things got even more uncomfortable. Emma, visibly upset, wanted me to explain myself once again. Mark, on the other hand, was seething. He started accusing me of trying to destroy his life, of being unstable and out of control. He said I had no right to say anything, that I was ruining their relationship based on something that wasn't true. He claimed he'd never said anything like what I had described, and that I had taken his words completely out of context. I tried to keep my composure, but the more he denied it, the angrier I got. It felt like he was trying to manipulate Emma into thinking I was the problem, and that he had done nothing wrong. Mark even went so far as to accuse me of lying just to make him look bad, calling me a psycho and a drama queen. His insults started to feel like an attempt to gaslight me. I was furious, but I didn't back down. Finally, Emma asked me to explain the situation one more time, and that's when I couldn't stay silent anymore. I told her, Emma, I'm not making this up. The way he spoke about younger women, it's not normal. He was talking about girls who are just at that age where they're becoming women. That's not just a weird comment. It's disturbing. Please listen to what I'm telling you. He has a history of making these types of comments, and it's not something that should be brushed off. At that point, Mark lost it. He stood up, shouted that I was trying to ruin everything, and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Emma sat there, speechless. There was an intense silence in the room, and I could tell she was processing everything I'd said. She was visibly shaken. After what felt like an eternity, Emma spoke, her voice trembling. I don't know what to believe right now. Mark has always been kind to me, but I don't know. This is just so much to take in. She was clearly overwhelmed, and I knew she needed time to process. I tried to reassure her that I wasn't trying to destroy her relationship, but I felt that she needed to be aware of what was going on. She eventually thanked me for being honest with her, but I could tell she was struggling to figure out what to do next. I didn't hear from Emma for a couple of days after that. Then, out of the blue, she called me. She told me that she had ended things with Mark. She thanked me again for speaking up and admitted that she had started to notice things about him. That didn't sit well with her. She said she had confronted Mark after our conversation, and he had become defensive and angry. Just as I'd warned her, she realized that she couldn't ignore the red flags anymore and made the decision to break things off. I was relieved but also sad that it had come to this. I never wanted to break up a relationship, but I genuinely believed Emma needed to know what kind of person Mark was. However, things didn't end there. Mark, furious at being exposed, started spreading rumors about me. He told everyone that I had outed him in front of Emma and that I was trying to destroy his life. He called me crazy and even started labeling me as a drama queen. Some of our mutual friends, who didn't know the full story, started to believe his side of things. Mark's version of events painted me as the jealous, malicious ex-friend who was just trying to cause trouble. Now, I'm second-guessing everything. Some of the people I know are telling me I overstepped by revealing such personal things about Mark. They claim I should have stayed out of it and let Emma figure things out on her own. Others say I did the right thing, but the backlash I'm receiving is starting to make me feel like I made a huge mistake. Part 3. The fallout from the whole situation has been more intense than I could have ever imagined. After I told Emma about Mark's comments, I thought I was just looking out for her, but now it feels like everything spiraled out of control. After Emma broke up with him, I honestly thought it would be over. I thought Mark would just leave things alone, maybe try to move on, but he didn't. Instead, he started spreading rumors about me, accusing me of making up lies and destroying his life. He called me crazy to anyone who would listen, and at first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, of course he would try to paint me as the villain. What else would he do? But the more he spread his version of events, the more I started to feel like I was losing control of the narrative. Some of our mutual friends, who hadn't been around for the conversation with Emma, started taking his side. They didn't know what Mark had actually said and only heard his version of the story. To them, I was the drama queen trying to ruin his happiness. A few of them reached out to me, saying I was out of line and shouldn't have gotten involved. One of my old friends even texted me saying, "Why did you have to go and say that? You're ruining his reputation, and now you're making things awkward for everyone." I felt completely blindsided. I wasn't trying to ruin anyone's life, especially not Emma's, but that's how it was being painted. Some people even told me that I was jealous of Mark and Emma's relationship. That couldn't have been further from the truth. I was just concerned for Emma's well-being. But now it seemed like people were seeing me as the one with bad intentions. Emma and I haven't really spoken much since she broke up with Mark. I did text her a couple of times, asking if she was okay and if she needed anything. She responded a few times, thanking me again for telling her the truth and letting me know she was doing okay. But the distance between us has grown. I feel like she's been avoiding me. And part of me wonders if she's been influenced by the things Mark's been saying about me. I get it, she's probably confused and hurt, and it's hard for her to navigate all of this. But it still stings that she hasn't reached out more. I know this is probably hard for her to process. She's probably feeling embarrassed or conflicted, maybe even guilty for not noticing things sooner. I just wanted to protect her. But now I'm feeling like I might have caused more harm than good by getting involved. The guilt is eating at me. I keep thinking about how everything could have been different if I had just kept quiet. But then I remind myself that I did what I felt was right. If I hadn't said anything, what if something happened to her down the line that I could have prevented? Meanwhile, Mark has been making it clear that he's angry. I've gotten a few nasty messages from him, calling me a psycho and telling me I'll regret ruining his life. He said I ruined his chance at happiness with Emma and that I should stay out of people's business. I'm starting to feel a little scared now. I know he's angry, but it's like he's taking it too far. I didn't want to hurt anyone, but I'm starting to feel like I'm being targeted. A couple of our mutual friends have even started blocking me on social media. It feels like I'm being isolated by everyone. The worst part is, I'm not even sure who believes me anymore. People who I thought were my friends are now acting like I've done something wrong. And I'm losing my support system. I tried reaching out to Emma one last time to see how she was doing, but she didn't reply. I don't know if it's because of the pressure from Mark, or if it's just that she needs time away from everything. But I can't help but wonder if maybe she's not sure who to believe anymore. If Mark has been convincing enough, maybe she thinks I exaggerated what he said, or that I'm just trying to get her to stay away from him. On top of all that, some of the mutual friends who didn't take Mark's side are starting to ask questions. They've been asking me for more details about the conversation that happened, and wanting to know more about why I thought Mark was dangerous. It's like the whole situation has become a gossip fest, and I'm just stuck in the middle of it. I honestly don't want to go public with the full details of what he said, but at this point, I'm wondering if I should. If people are going to accuse me of being the one in the wrong, maybe I should just tell them everything. I'm torn because I don't want to make things worse, but I also feel like I need to stand up for myself. I did what I thought was the right thing, and now it feels like I'm being punished for it. Part of me feels like I'm the one who's being unfairly judged, and I'm starting to question whether or not I overreacted. I know I was trying to protect Emma, but now it seems like I've become the villain in the story. It feels like everyone has turned against me,